Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion. Please the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. An exciting win. Wouldn't you say, Tomo? How about you, Ruka? An exciting win in our previous episode. F1, W7, JN, Everything seems okay here. Stats are a little low just because of that rate of fire. I always feel the need to contextualize it, even though I probably don't, but rate of fire is like, it's such a critical stat because, yeah, all of our stats are pretty good except that, but that stat is so bad that it's actually like we have half damage. So, we had a sort of similar situation on our previous run, but we're lucky enough to make it work. We got a lot of tier modifiers, like fire rate changes early. Dude, honestly, the shears is a great item. At minimum, we can pick it up and get something out of it here. I feel like this, okay, sure. Worst case scenario is a guppy item. But Eden's Soul thoughts arrive like butterflies. It's a little bit more, interesting, right? A little bit more exciting, if you will. Oh, and it's immediately charged. So I think the best case scenario is we probably use this on the boss room, maximize our chances of getting items from the boss room pool, aka, I was gonna say HP, tiers, etc, etc, etc. See what trinkets we get before I get upset. Okay, he's excited, and he just can't hide it. It's actually a pretty good trinket here in Locust of Pestilence. I cannot outrun you, and I don't know if it's reasonable to assume that that's dodgeable, so kind of hoping that you just die before you rush me again, which is definitely unreasonable. I don't know if you could conjure a world in which we had a worse I'm excited pill. The game is forever compromised. It's broken. They did something wrong. The game, it's not right anymore. PQLJ-SJRT. I don't want to live in a planet where in Isaac you have to be wary with 10 HP. We didn't have 10, we had 4, but still, of taking a pill because the pill could make it mathematically impossible for you to beat the boss. But that's where we're at. Now that could have happened on a, other permutations of Isaac. It's just very frustrating. I don't mind losing, but losing when you have literally no chance is just like, it just makes you want to never play the game again. This is basically where I'm at. But that's okay. We're gonna keep it going here. You know, I went into the run with a smile on my face. It's up to me to keep the smile on my face here. And to be fair, it's not like there's nothing I could do. Dude. There was just nothing reasonable. Like, sure, if we had brought the shears in, that would have worked for us. But, I mean, I think we made the decision that most people would have made in that situation. I mean, the thing is, there's always something you can do. It's just a matter of, like, is it reasonable to assume that that could be done? You know what I mean? Like, whenever somebody has a problem, it's not hard to come up with a solution to problems. I think it took me a long time to learn that, you know? I really thought I pressed the spacebar there. I was just very incorrect. I did not even have a charge. You know, when people ask you for advice, the temptation, a lot of the time, is unprompted to give them a solution to their problem. Oftentimes, solution to their problem is very simple. Maybe I shouldn't say advice. Maybe what I mean to say is more like venting or complaining. Solution to problems is easy. Oh, I'm having money problems. Spend less. Oh, I'm feeling a little fat this month. Eat less, you know? You don't have to have a PhD in advanced common sense to understand something like this, but, you know, most of the time it's not what people want to hear. You know, people want to hear, yeah, it's hard. Wow, that's crazy. Ha ha. No, really? OMG, etc., etc. Okay, I mean, here's the thing. Orbital pause button is, like, doubtlessly great, but I kind of just like the ability to fly right now, to be honest. Some people, they take personal offense to this for whatever reason. Oh, you're not taking my incredible advice? How dare you? Now I'm becoming one of those guys who says terrible things, but only under the guise of telling it like it is. Sorry. And then people stop talking to you and you go, I've been canceled. No, you haven't been canceled. People just don't like you. It's two very different things. Anyway, you gotta recognize, you know, sometimes solutions exist but are not reasonable to expect everybody to put into place. And this is, you know, I mean specifically within the context of Isaac, but also, you know, within the context of life. Sometimes complaints are just, you know, symptoms of the sacrifices we've chosen for ourselves. It doesn't mean that they're pleasant, but, you know, we make those choices. Everything in life is a trade-off, you know? You invest your time into X, you can't invest your time into Y. Doesn't mean you're like, you know, you still wish for unlimited time. Just buy more, forehead. Okay. Hit him with the yeet cannon. There you go. Alright. This is actually like we're off to a very, very, very strong start here. I think I'm just going to head down to the next floor. Mostly because I'm upset that we lost early. But it is what it is. I'm always stoked it's a Sunday. Sunday equals Deadly Premonition. Deadly Premonition is such a good Sunday subscriber stream game. It has fought back against the nostalgia bias and is now considered one of the best Sunday games I've ever played. Even up there with the Fallout New Vegas's, which, don't get me wrong, I understand that Fallout New Vegas is kind of like an OG, original, you know, the prototypical Sunday stream game. However, it's, you know, it's been like 6 years of people being like, yeah, the game's pretty good, but, you know, it's not as entertaining as Fallout New Vegas. Finally, we've reached a point where at least 1/3 of the audience thinks that some of the content is as fun as Fallout New Vegas. We've made it. We made it back. Always excited to get a chance to play some Deadly Premonition. It's all, you know, to be honest, it's nice when the game does the work for you. That's basically what it comes down to. When you're working in concert with the game, it's like a banter-rich co-host. I need more games in that tone. If you have games in that tone, please do not hesitate to send them to me. Because here's the thing. I'll play anything, without a doubt. When I play stuff that's prestigious, and I make fun of it, it does offend a subset of the community from time to time because I'm not appreciating the gravitas of Space Marine is mad and shoots aliens as a result. That's a little bit of an overly reductive approach for me to be saying, but, you know, it's my video, so I can represent the argument however I wish. But a game, you know, like Deadly Premonition, where they're like, yeah, it kind of sucks, but, you know, it's also very fun. That's the dream, dude. I'm living in a dream world with that game. It provides the commentary. If anything, it reverses the role. The game is the commentator, and I'm the chat. It's a very groovy combination, baby. Yeah. Okay. If only we had Guppy's head on this run. Forehead. See, that's a joke about the fact that we had Guppy's head, but it was on the... You know what I'm talking about. Anyway. I don't mean to be negative about Isaac, dude, but... I really, my argument, if I can undermine it myself, it doesn't have a leg to stand on, because this is where we've been at content-wise for like a year and a half maybe, and it's only started to bother me as losses have piled up. But the beauty about being a YouTuber is that you don't have to necessarily in every circumstance have objective evidence that proves your point. Instead, you can just complain and complain and complain. And as long as it sounds like you have plausible reasons, a lot of people will just jump to your side because they like your content to begin with. So that's what I'm relying on, is essentially a little bit of a cult of personality here to just tell me I'm right and not challenge any of my assertions. How does that sound? Can we agree to that? Onsus, we will pop. Not too invested in an arcade here, given our HP. Might be convinced to check it out en route to that boss trap room if we end up going to the boss trap room, but we're gonna have to go to the boss trap room first. Number one thing, by the way, I really thought we were about to make the ESPN work there, but number one thing for us, by the way, probably right now, statistically, everything's hunky-dory. I think the only stat we'd like to raise every stat, that goes without saying, but one of the stats we'd like to raise the most right now is luck. So that we can get more consumables. More consumables equals more dark bum chances to get spirit hearts. More spirit hearts equals, you know, it's a knock-on effect because it allows us to use our orbital more often, which means we're going to kill enemies faster, you know, which means I'm going to be having more fun. It's really, in the pursuit of fun, a luck upgrade is not inconsequential here. A little bit outside of the box, perhaps, but still very, very useful. Oh, thank you, thank you. I will take it. No real reason not to. That does hurts our arcade abilities. Are you a wizard? Retrovision. Infested. Like, okay. I don't want to... I'm very near to going off the edge in this case, okay? But seriously, dude. Okay, I'm not trying to go too far. But how many items / pills / cards does this game need that do absolutely nothing? I know. NL, you've been down this road before. Don't go down the road. It leads to the dark side. But like how many though? When is enough, you know? There's gotta, at this point, there have to be like, very good time for that to show up. There have to be like 100 different entities in Isaac, either items, pills, or cards, that do absolutely nothing. I've never made a game. Well, I've never made a game that could sustain even a free release, much less a commercial release. Let's put it that way. Is that an element of game design I'm just ignorant to, and as a result should keep my mouth shut? Like, do you have to have items in the game that do nothing? Quite literally filler content, so that, you know, the balance of the good and bad items can be buffered more effectively? I don't know. I mean, when I look at Slay the Spire, there are a couple of relics that most of the time do almost nothing. Some of the time, though. I'm talking about orange pellets right now. You got it absolutely correct. I don't know, man. I should be careful. I'm trying to vent while also avoiding the obvious criticism. If you're not having fun with it, stop playing it. Because I am having fun with it. What I particularly enjoy is having a game, and this is not meant to be disrespectful to Isaac, but having a game that I can sort of mindlessly play while talking about whatever pops into the old dome piece for 30 minutes at a time. But simultaneously has been, we've had degrees of frustration lately. I think it's a very fair assessment. As a result of what I see as game design that is antithetical to the way that I want to play the game, but I'm not, you know, on the board of directors, so what do I know? Of course, again, I have to point out, nothing about the game design I think has changed in the past 18 months. But perhaps I have changed. Maybe all I need is a shot in the arm. Let's try a dice shard here.
Judgment.
Like a deal with, I guess we already had a deal with the devil on this floor, but Are you a wizard? Probably not gonna be too invested in taking that one. Anyway, everything on this run is hunky-dory. This run is like the exact opposite of what I've been talking about in the past. You know, this one is... Did we just miss a 90% chance at a deal with the devil? And also, can I say that was very good for us to miss that? Because now we'd already seen the item. We didn't really want it. And now this time we have the ability to get a better chance from this boss. So I'm over the moon. I'm thrilled. I'm also a little hungry. But that's... I go through stages of a hunger. I think everybody goes through stages of hunger. But I don't start at hangry. I have like a warning system, like a tornado or more like a hurricane, because you see it coming like well in advance. So sometimes, you know, I mean, blank Cardiera is really good, but forgive me, I love having the ability to fly right now, and I think once you lose a run in the first 10 seconds due to frustrating circumstances, you have the opportunity and the license to tackle the run on your own behalf. You know, sometimes, you know, Cade and I will be out and about, and I'll be like, hey, just so you know, I'm hungry. That's like a tropical storm is on the horizon. Then if we don't eat if we're not like inside of a place with food within 45 minutes to an hour, oh, my lock just spontaneously locked itself. That's scary. If I'm not inside of a place with caloric content within an hour, that's where it starts to become, hey, just so you know, I have to eat, like within the next 30 minutes. And if within the next 30 minutes food is not on the horizon, that's where the hanger starts to set in. That's where I'm going. I'm getting the jar of peanut butter out of the fridge. I'm just mashing nut butter into my face. But it really is a storm surge warning sign. You know? The Meteorological Association of Southeast United States of America pops up and says, hey, we're monitoring this low blood sugar storm taking place off the coast of Vancouver right now. It appears that the house is out of bananas. As a result, he was not able to get simple fructose into his body this morning. So we're going to be monitoring the storm. We'll let you know if anything changes, but for now, nothing to worry about. Then you get like, okay, the storm has gone for a 2-hour-long Pokemon Go walk, but has not consumed any food other than a handful of cashews before he left. You know, this one could be dangerous. We're recommending that you stay tuned to the news to see if you need to evacuate. Then after that, it's like, okay, they ordered food from the restaurant. It's been 45 minutes. He's already said 75 times, what are they doing? Growing the potatoes back there? We recommend you evacuate the premises immediately. This is a hanger storm situation waiting to happen. Thank you. I'm starting to get that way about sleep, too. I'd always been the person who's like, I could always just stay up like an extra hour. Now I issue like a flare. I'm like, I'm tired. And if I'm not in bed for whatever reason within like 45 minutes of that, I'm like, I'm gonna pass out. And then if I'm not in bed within like 45 minutes of that, I just go, dude. I'm engaging in the Mr. Sandman. And I'm not talking about playing Punch-Out. That's Mr. Dream? No, I mean Super Punch-Out. That has Mr. Sandman. Don't question it. He's the #1 boxer on the major circuit. Before you get to the world circuit. Wait, maybe he's not on the major. I can't remember. Is the special circuit after? What's the one with Nick and Rick Bruiser? I can't remember. This is gonna be a quick one though. Run-wise. I mean, we got a really incredible assortment of items, both offensive and defensive. It is a shame that we lost the first run, but we lost it under circumstances that you could admit were perhaps a little annoying. Here's the thing, you know? In hindsight, it's so easy to be like, why didn't you just take the shears into the boss instead of using it to get those consumables? Sure, but we had 4 HP. You know, that's like having $1 million in your bank account. And then, like, you know, somebody hacks into your bank and steals it. And they're like, well, you know, why didn't you invest with a bank that had been audited by a cybersecurity firm, okay? The only reason you say that is because you know the exact problem. You know, the bank could also had a fire that burned up all the money or something like. You'd be like, why didn't you go with a bank with better fire security? With 4 HP to work with on the first floor, most of the time you're not like, oh, the first floor boss is gonna ice me. So keep your comments in your pocket on that one. That's my 2 cents. Excuse me, sir? I appear to have been falsely hit. Temperance. Nothing for me, huh? That's fine. But at the end of the day, I keep coming back to Isaac. A couple of reasons. One of the reasons I love the game. One of the reasons is that I love the series. It's really one of the only series I've ever had on YouTube. I mean, it's obviously like absurdly long running. But it's one of the only series I've ever had on YouTube where the series has transcended the game itself. I'm not saying that, you know, what I'm doing here is more culturally significant than the game itself. That is not what I'm saying in the least. What I'm saying is that the product that I am making here, the media that I'm making here, exists kind of separate from the game itself at this point. As bizarre as it is, it's a weird concept. But it's like, I imagine at this point, most of the people watching this, except for rare pot play-esque situations of unbelievable egregiousness, they're not watching so much to be like, I want to see some high-octane Isaac play. They're watching to be like, let's watch this guy banter with himself. And if there's some remarkable Isaac play simultaneously, even better, or perhaps even just exactly the same amount of enjoyment can be derived. That's my 2 C's. You know what, by the way? I forgot to mention, we had a conversation last week or 2 weeks ago, depending on how the backlog's going now. And the conversation was like, you know, games of the decade. I was extremely remiss in the mentioning of the games of the decade. I forgot what is doubtlessly going to be one of the top ones, if not the top one. Dark Souls. We touched on this mistake on the NLSS. Someone was like, what about Dark Souls? And I was like, you know what? What about Dark Souls? That's why you always get a pen and a pad when you're doing stuff like this. Don't try to do it off the top of the dome piece while you're playing other games. Dark Souls is probably my 2nd favorite Souls game. I do think that I prefer Bloodborne, even though, I mean, I'll admit it's kind of the hipster choice, but it's also like my honest appraisal. But on top of that, I still think that for me, you know, if you're making a list of the, you know, the best media of the decade, it doesn't necessarily, it depends on the way you want to draw it up, right? But I think for me, my preference is to factor in a little bit of like cultural relevancy as well. And there's no doubt that, like, you know, Dark Souls 1 has had an enormous shadow cast on the industry for, you know, it came out in 2011 on the consoles, 2012 on PC, but you know, it has basically spawned its own genre with games like The Surge and Lords of the Fallen and, you know, even Code Vein, and I think it's helped, you know, usher in a renaissance of character action games. On top of that, you know, there's other stuff in the genre like, you know, Bayonetta, for example, and Astral Chain, but, you know, I think they all sort of feed into each other. Neo is another one I forgot about, but I think if you're factoring in cultural relevancy, whatever Souls game is my favorite is not as relevant as the fact that Dark Souls is the one that is very, very close to the tippy top, even if it's not at the tippy top, and is also, you know, it's left a ridiculous shadow. what I'm trying to say. So, I don't know. Souls would be a genuine candidate for first. It's not a candidate to be on the list. It's a candidate to top the freaking list, dude. And that's the bottom line. Anyway, we can't go down this road again just yet. I still haven't... I'm not going to play Breath of the Wild probably before the year is out. I would give that like a 1% chance to actually happen. And the reason is, I don't really care about having a definitive, like, best of the decade list, you know? Life's short. I can hit you with a very biased list, because that's all I got. I wish that some of that was worth taking, but it isn't. I'm not worried about having my list posted on r/games, and then the comments are like, this is the best list. Not worried about having the right opinion in games anymore. I'm just, you know... worried about having my own opinion in games. Number 1 on the list, Rogue Warrior, starring Mickey Rourke. Number 2, Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Number 3, Tomb Raider Go for the mobile phone, tied with Super Mario Run and Dr. Mario Inoculate. Is that what the subtitle on that one was? I can't remember. I'm gonna hit you. I mean, I could hit you with a lot of, I don't even know if I'd call them unpopular opinions, because I hate when people do that. They're like, hot take, I really like Mario. You know, it's just like, don't set yourself up to have a controversial opinion. And then, you know, hit them with a cop-out, like, I think food, it tastes good. Whoa, dude. So brave. But, Here's the hottest take I think I can muster about the Game of the Decade list. It is not going to be number 1 on my own list, internal or external. But if somebody put Pokemon Go as number 1 on their list, I would say that I get it. I would, sincerely. It's a largely... I mean, it ticks a lot of boxes, is what I'm trying to say. It's an unusual game, like a very novel game. Yes, I know that Ingress is the source of, like, the architecture for the game, but Ingress was exclusively played by people who wanted to, you know, they have dreams of becoming, like, Agent Smith from The Matrix, is the way that I understand it. No offense meant to all the Agent Smiths and the Hugo Weavings of the world. Pokemon Go, you know, first off, it ticks that box of relative originality. Secondly, after that, extreme cultural phenomenon, has influenced mobile game development to some extent, and is still relevant to this day. Like, didn't you see in August, it just had, like, its best month since the first year of release of the game? That's pretty impressive. When, you know, most of the time when people think about mobile games, they have a tendency to think about, you know, almost like fast flips. Like, something comes out, it's a flash in the pan for, like, you know, 2 weeks. Help. Thank you. And then people forget about it. But maybe that's antiquated. Maybe that's like a Flappy Bird sort of way of thinking about the world that is not fair. I think it could be up there. In the same vein, as long as we're talking about stuff that I think could top a list and be controversial, but not necessarily be, like, you know, without evidence or discourse. If you're gonna put Fortnite up there, I think that's reasonable. Personally, I don't know. It depends. Fortnite has hit heights in, you know, gaming in terms of popularity that are definitely they would have been unfathomable a few years ago, and even if you fathomed them, you probably wouldn't have thought that it was Fortnite that was gonna hit that. I mean, it's crazy, dude. Like 3 or 4 years ago, when I thought about Epic Games, I was like, well, they're making that MOBA Paragon. I don't, but I felt like they were kind of, I don't want to call it like a death spiral, because, you know, who knows, they might be offering some sponsored deals at some point. I don't want to bite the hand that feeds. But I played Paragon, and I was like, this is completely, in my opinion, unremarkable, and you know, if this is what's supposed to bail you out. I mean, here's the thing. It kind of felt like Paragon was a reaction to, like, MOBAs being popular oh so many months ago. And this was, like, just 2 years too late to really capitalize on the trend, and didn't really do anything super unique that, that seemed like it was going to move the needle. That was my impression playing Paragon. So, like, a few years ago, I thought Epic Games was, like, you know, maybe not on the horizon of ceasing to exist, but going through some stuff. In only a few years, they've now become, like, I mean, they're probably the second largest game store online. In terms of news coverage, they're #1 by about a factor of 15,000. But in terms of actual, like, revenue, or it's going to be more spicy than expected. In terms of, like, revenue or like, installations or what have you, I wouldn't be surprised if they're #3. I bet, what the heck was that, dude? I bet GOG's up there. I think even Origin or Uplay could have a chance. The thing, like, Uplay, it probably has more... Well, I don't know, because Fortnite is super popular. But Uplay, like, if you've ever purchased a Ubisoft game on PC, you have Uplay. Whether or not you classify that as the same sort of... Like, is that a launcher? I don't know. I mean, it launches through that. You might not have purchased it on the Uplay store, but anyway. I don't know, even like maybe Rockstar Games Social Club or something. I don't know. It's something that's worth looking into if you're that interested, I guess. But anyway, Fortnite is just... The popularity of that game still kind of blows me away. Regardless, though. I don't know. I do think that maybe that's kind of like, it's an outsider pick. If you're looking for like a Galaxy Brain Game of the Decade sort of pick. It is a little recent. That doesn't mean it's invalid. But it is a little recent. But I can still see it. It'll be interesting. I'm excited to see what people's lists are like. Because there's probably a bunch of stuff I've forgotten. Dude, give me some Shenzhen IO or, you know, Opus Magnum on the list as well. That's my Galaxy Brain pick for, like, being on the Game of the Decade list. If you don't have one Zachtronics game in your top 25, you're not a real gamer as far as I'm concerned. That's right, I'm the gatekeeper now. So this is actually, we're making a recovery here. All we need to do is beat this room. Done. Then we have, I mean, I guess we should take Backstabber, even though it doesn't matter at all. We go into this room, wait for them to start making a move, hit them with this, immediately get tagged and probably killed right after, okay? But hey, I was just going to say, we got a Spirit Heart there. So my personal philosophy with this Spirit Heart... is that we should wait on it as long as possible. Okay, I'm realizing the corner might not be the right place to stand. It would probably be advisable for us to wait on the Spirit Heart until we're close to finishing the room, and thus this basically guarantees the completion of the room. Or alternatively, you know, maybe we died 2 or 3 more times in this room, we generate 1 more Spirit Heart, we'd rather pick them all up going for our last life, you know? I'm real close to picking... I think I'm just going to pick it up. Hopefully we won't get hit. I mean, it's only a waste if we get hit. At this point, I think it's good leverage. Okay. Lucky us. Thank you. Just gonna level with you, brother. A spider was not what I was looking for there. I got confidence here. That should be another payout, I think. Thank you. Help. I don't know. This run, it felt like it was pretty much set in stone. To be honest with you, I might have put in a little rush job on this one by playing a little bit more coy. Perhaps I could have kept the demons at bay a little longer, but it is what it is. Thank you. Very much looking forward to... Oh, and dude, spun. Like, our rate of fire sucks pretty bad, so getting a damage increase is, like, disproportionately useful right now. Huge. You got something for me? I knew, like, I felt a turn when things started to get bad, but I felt a turn coming in the other direction as well. When you know, once we got that Spirit Heart drop on the double cage room, I was like, we got nothing to worry about. It's not going to be a guaranteed victory, but you gotta, you know, you gotta respect that. Thank God for Dark Bum's existence, by the way. Were it not for this item, we would have probably died many times over. Thank God for 9 lives, giving us the chance to atone for our earlier mistakes as well. Thank God for Pyro existing but remaining almost criminally underutilized. Which is completely my bad. Don't shoot. Run. I mean, okay. You know what I won't say thank God for? Let's sprinkle some tactical negativity into this run. I'm not going to say thank God for curses that inevitably make it impossible for us to find the boss in a timely fashion, but hey, Mama told me not to, I did it anyway. He's complaining. Not quite done. Not quite done. Thank you. Thank you. Trying to think of like what the worst game of the decade pick is not a relevant thing to discuss. Because yeah, there's games that are like, you know, They would be such a ridiculous out of left field choice that you know, they don't even bear mention. You know, like Jerry Rice and Nidus Dog Football. If somebody was like, that's the game of the decade, you would be like, you know, you don't, I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, but also that's just, it's kind of insane. It's definitely out of left field, let's put it that way. The more relevant discussion is what's the most controversial and yet still somewhat plausible game of the decade. I was thinking like Gone Home might be up there. That's a game that a lot of people have strong feelings about one way or the other. You can imagine corners of the internet would not be happy if Game of the Decade was a 45-minute long introspective walking simulator. There's gotta, like, Mass Effect 3 probably be up there. I'm running it through the old cerebrum. I'm trying to think of what would be the what would send people for a loop the most. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya.